That's great.
It's not the light I wanted. It's the light I got.
Well, I'm just glad that it's up high. The boys did their video, when they did this, I was like, all my chins. Because they don't have that problem. They don't have to worry about
No,
that.
they don't even
I
have to
was
think
like,
about those things.
I look 30 pounds bigger than my normal camera. I look my true size, but I don't want to look my true size.
Wow.
I look my image size.
Hilarious.
And then between those two bean poles, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Right?
but fortunately enough, I think they're cute enough to everybody looking at them.
You
They're not
guys
at
look
me.
good. It was good.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to the live. We're gonna let people get in. We're gonna let LaVonda finish setting up.
Yes.
And we'll get started.
All right. Give me a second.
Yep.
It's not enough light for me.
We're at LaVonda's place, so we are getting the lighting and everything done. And we live those busy lives, you guys know. I was homeschooling.
Is that better?
Sure. I am thinking that it's your camera that you're seeing. It looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
Good.
good. It looks good.
I'm like, what the
different
heck?
screens show different things. Because I'm like, boy, that made no difference. But here,
It
there's quite a difference.
Okay. Good. So we're all in.
Yes. So welcome to Homeschoolific.
Hi.
How are you? Is that Yolanda?
It's Jalunda.
Jolanda. I'm sorry.
Jalunda.
Anyway, so thank you guys for joining us today. We have a lot of things to discuss today, and we're going to start while everyone's getting on, whoever will be or not be. We're going to start with a little catch up for the week. So how's your week going, Yolanda?
It's been good. So we kind of like did a restart this week.
Mm-hmm.
We had people sick for about a week and a half, starting in our second week of school. And so,
Everyone recovered?
huh?
Everyone all recovered?
Yes, we're all good.
Good.
So everybody's well again. And so this was like our first week back in school again. So that's good.
How'd it go?
Oh, it went well. It
Good.
went well. I stopped. My A-type personality comes through sometimes, and I fought her really badly. So like, I'm winning. I'm winning this week. I'm winning. It is good, right?
Yeah.
So like we got a lot accomplished. So I was grateful. We tried to like hit the town and explore a little bit in our little small town.
It's cooler, but it's still too hot for that right now.
Yeah, it was, you know.
After
If
100,
you
I'm
know
just,
where we
I'm
live.
Just, I'm
It's
just
not
bad,
a lot.
guys. I don't know. Oh, you mean here?
In the city we live
Oh, yeah.
in. We went to the
God bless
library.
you. I told you. Have y'all ever been to a library where there was missing, like the shelves were bare? That's our local library. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, like they had a lot of things for the kids. They were like really, they tried to include the community.
It was very much geared towards small children, though.
Mhm.
Like it's set up for small children. Our boys were just like, "What is this?" I think we have more books.
I was literally like, I could go donate some books to you guys.
I think we might have more
we
than
drive into Austin,
especially for like that age, that preteen, like more
Such
chapter
a hard
books.
age.
They have a lot of Spanish speaking people in the community, and so they have several aisles devoted to the kids and preteens with just Spanish speaking books, which is really fun. But when we can't speak in Spanish,
Not to mention,
not helpful.
we need rows and rows of options and
It needs
books.
to be live.
I'm like, are we not like? Do we need to donate books? I can donate books. I got books. Like,
No, I'm keeping my books. This is why building your home library is important. And
LaVonda, you and I both have a problem. We could give half of our books away and still have lots of books.
I don't care. I'm not giving any of them away.
Oh,
we
did
got
you
to
guys?
age out.
I think the library for toddlers is amazing. I love the library.
It's a great. Even our library, our local library, is a really good area
right.
for like little kids. Like there were
They do a lot
families
of
there.
teen stuff. I don't. I mean, we were fine. Well, they have board games and stuff. Did y'all see that? Y'all could ask the librarian for that.
We got board games though.
Well, I can't win. I can't win.
I'm like, if I gotta come here and it's stuff we have, we could just go back home.
Well, you get to use their air conditioning.
This is true. Now, mind you, so we don't live in Austin. We live just outside of Austin, but Austin's library, their main library, is a really, really nice one, and they have really good stuff. But one thing that we noticed, even at the library, within our city, is that there's so many things you have to watch out for. There are things that should not be in a kids section at the library.
Yeah.
Or at the library at all. Some things should be at an adult store or something.
I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like, it's a library, so there should be a section labeled adult. I'm not. I just believe in freedom.
When did the library turn into a free for all? Like,
it was supposed to be free reading.
Yes, free reading, but not pleasurable. Like,
well, most of the kids' reading is pleasurable
for fun. Yes, it's supposed to be fun for kids, but not. We shouldn't have to guard our kids toward the things that they're putting in these graphic novels that are supposed to be for kids.
Y'all. If you guys are not looking at what's in the graphic novels of your kids are reading, it was hard to find one that they did. It got so bad I said, here, I'm just gonna fold up this page, crease it really good, and then just bypass those pages.
Yes.
Like, it got to the point where we couldn't find anything. It was really sad. And it was in the kids section, and we weren't even in the teen section.
No.
We were in the kids section. So just be aware of that. I do not approve. It was really sad to see. Like, I don't know. And I'm not why I'm easily triggered when it comes to my kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
But obviously not like, I mean, I don't care if everybody has stuff at the library. I don't care. I just in the kids section, have it labeled appropriately. Like, that's my thing. So I'm not blindsided by, what book are you reading? You didn't get that out of here. I'm fussing at my kid. And, anyway, I digress. So all in all, you guys tried.
We tried, I'm like, I'd rather go home. So we tried to visit other places. But yeah, how was your week?
My week was good. This was our first full week of school. I flew in from Las Vegas on Saturday. My husband drove in from seeing his parents and with the kids on Sunday, and then we rolled right into Monday. No day went as planned, but it's the first week. That's kind of the plan.
Right.
So that's why we have a first week, because we know that first week is going to be questionable. But it went good. Nobody came back sick. So many people were sick in Las Vegas, and I heard a guy hacking his lungs out on the plane. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna come home and give everybody something. But no, we're fine.
Good.
We're fine.
Good. So the days didn't go as planned, but do you feel good about what you got done?
Yes, good learning got done. We are doing heavy focuses this year with English, language arts, and math, and particularly like in our group time is consumers math. And boy, I was messing with those kids' heads. They were like brains fried, eyes red. So Mama did good. But they enjoyed it. It wasn't like right. It was like we were doing it in like story mode, type thing, and playing store or whatever, and even if you do that, I do that with my high schooler. It's still fun, like who doesn't like to play store? I don't have to spend real money, but I get all these fake dollars to spend. Like,
right?
That's fun. So, yeah.
That's a good time.
It was. It was a good time. So, yeah.
So, for those who don't know us, I think we should, introduce ourselves. So, since I'm talking already, I'm LaVonda. I am one part of Homeschoolific. And I'm married with 3 children. We've got a soon-to-be 15-year-old, a 9-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And currently homeschooling grades
10-year-old.
Ooh,
and a 9.
You're right. They just had birthdays. Forgive me.
I was like,
so a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old. That's what going on 15. So that's what I have. And so they're in 4th-ish, 5th-ish, 11th. So that's where we're at.
And I'm Diana, and I'm the other half of Homeschoolific, and I'm the mother of 5 kids, and they're all boys, and I'm homeschooling currently 2. My 3 oldest are grown, so So my kids are 25, 23, 20, 16, and soon to be 10. And so my ones that I'm homeschooling is 11-ish and fifth grade.
I love it.
Well, you know, you gotta
Right?
go with it.
Okay, and how long have you been homeschooling?
We forgot. We were trying to add it when we were doing the video with the boys, and I know at least 16 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
We forget.
I think you're around there.
Somewhere around
Yeah.
there. I don't know. At least 16 years. I've graduated 3.
Yeah.
So.
And this is our 11th year homeschooling, so that's where we're at.
Yeah. It's good times. We like it. This year's been, the last 2 years I felt real good about. The previous year, I feel good. This is the best I felt going into the school year.
Oh, good.
Since the shutdowns. I have not felt this good about going into school year since that happened. So I don't know if any of you guys have felt that way too, like that are like seasoned homeschoolers. Did you struggle during shutdowns, like to feel inspired to go back? I did not feel inspired. It might have been our move.
Yeah, we had a lot going on.
We had a lot going on. I didn't. But this year, I am so excited. Life feels good. Even the kids are responding well. It's a good year.
Good, yes. Yeah, I agree. The energy feels different.
Oh, we don't work 2 jobs anymore.
That could be it.
That's what's doing it.
Yeah. We had 2020 and the 2020-2021 school year was very interesting. We had a lot of life things happening, so
And we did it together.
We did.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Our lives were mirroring each other quite a bit. It was crazy.
It was very interesting. But I'm glad we're kind of like settling. I think we're at a point where we're settling in a little bit. But so I think let's just kind of get into it. And first we're going to start with like what our homeschool day looks like. I'm looking, if you see me looking down, it's because I have an outline and we're trying to stick to it. So we're not jabbering the whole time. Right. Okay. So what a homeschool day typically looks like for our family is we start with our read aloud time, and then my 11th grader, she starts her schoolwork is really very different from what my boys do. I pretty much school them together. They're at different levels, and that's perfectly fine. So we school between 9 and 4. I tried to make it 9 and 2.
Oh, I thought that was just me. Huh.
You know why? You know what I realized? Diane and I had a conversation. I was trying to figure out how that first week I wasn't like getting all the things I needed done. So it was 9 to 2, and then we break for about an hour and a half. And when I realized it was 3.5 hours, I said, well, that's why. Technically, once I took away our breaks and our lunch, man. So I was like, you know what? So I'm not saying that we go all the way till 4, but I'm giving us a 4. Like that's the cutoff. Like we won't do anything after that. Yeah. But we've been this week was really good once I realized the error of my ways. And we've been getting everything that we want to get accomplished because we're really focused on getting like our unit study time in. And we've got Bible, and everyone has their personal devotions that they do. The boys work on theirs together, language arts, like it's just a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And my daughter mostly works independent, but we're all in our room. We're all in the homeschool space in our homeschool room, doing school together, learning together. Sometimes
it's a nice cool room in here too.
Thank you. The air. This is the coldest room in our house.
So airy.
I have to like close the vents partially so it's not freezing in here.
It's nice. It's
yeah, it's a good space. I would love to. My goal is for it to be more whimsical, because I don't know. That's just in my mind. But that's kind of like how our school day goes. In between lunches and breaks, we do culinary downstairs in the kitchen. Obviously, some of our unit study we do down in the kitchen, life skills, all those things. Any science-based things we go downstairs for, because everywhere else in the house is carpet. Certain things I don't mind upstairs. We have like trays and things, but I've been trying. I like it to be really interactive. So I've been trying as much as we can do outside, in the kitchen, and wherever in the schoolroom. I might change it. Who knows? But yeah, I know I said a lot. Our days, I would rip out our schedule, but that would take way too much time. But for the most part, our days start at 9, capping at 4, and with lunch in between, we go downstairs. I'll throw a video on if it relates to a topic that we're learning about. The boys do art. Typically, art is on YouTube. Miracle does art as well with them sometimes, just because she wants to, not because she has to. Her 11th grade year is looking a bit lighter, which is nice because I front loaded her for 9th and 10th grade, trying to get as many of her like requirements for high school in, because she's heading for college, and so we are trying to make sure,
Well,
you
she's
know,
in college right now, right?
she
She's
is.
going to
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
She is. She's dual enrolled right now, so she goes to our local community college, and we homeschool at home. So we're really just like, living. That's kind of where, yeah. So yeah, and a couple days a week I take her in for her classes there, and then yeah,
Oh, for her college classes.
for her college
Gotcha.
classes, and then everything else is at home.
Cool.
So
So my day, so our typical day, the kids get up at about 7:30. They have to help me somewhat outside, or somebody's helping me make breakfast, because that's part of their education. We milk the goats and do animal stuff and everything, so that's part of their education, right?
absolutely.
So that's life skills. Their actual learning, our school day is about 9, on paper till 3. We did not start at 9. I don't think once this week. I think the earliest we started was 9:30 this week, but the goal is 9 because we were schooling till 4. So when you said that, I was like, huh. And we don't even have our full load yet, because we do co-ops, and our co-ops haven't started yet. So I've still got about an hour and a half of homework every day that we haven't added in. So I was like, dude, guys, if we want to not be schooling till 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, and I mean them, not me, because like at that point it's their independent work, I knock out all their stuff early so I don't have to sit there the whole time. And so yeah, so we start school. We do our group time first. This is something I changed this year. Group time is mandatory first, and that's because we do so many things together, and I am working on skill sets that they both need work on, and maybe one is stronger than the other, particularly like the high schooler obviously is stronger, but he helps the younger one want to be inspired. My younger son be inspired, so therefore we do it together. And honestly, they've had a great time working together. They are like so funny and goofy, and sometimes I just have a hard time reining them back in and be like, hey, but we're all having a good time. So I enjoy that, and it's a great way to start the day. And so we started that way, and then we roll into language arts and math, going between there. I have to stagger my kids, and we're going to talk about this more because we're going to talk about multiple kids. So I stagger my kids so that I don't have to be stressed out while one is asking for help or whatever. So there's a staggering. I'll get into that later. And then we end the day. They're usually done, it's their independent work, and I'm just around helping. While I'm around helping, I'm usually tidying up or doing some kind of stuff in business, like, books, bookkeeping or whatever. And then we wrap up the day with, whenever they're done, we're done. And we straighten up, and they have a skills time. So my kids get to watch TV every day, but they don't get to watch TV till a certain time. So until that happens in the evening, if we don't have anything to do, now my high schooler, he's about to start working at the job at HEB. Yeah. So he's going to start working soon. So that's probably going to change, but they're not allowed to like not do anything. That's like another thing for us, like always doing something. Even if you're watching TV, your hands should be busy. Like we should be doing something like drawing or crocheting or whatever, hands busy. And so part of their additional skills is like they can go to Skillshare or whatever, or they can just practice on piano, they can draw, they can paint. I got them how people do those homeschool gift packets. So I didn't want to just do candy and stuff. Actually, I think I got chocolate, that was it. I gave them stuff to help them with their skill time, and so so I did that. And And that's their day, you know. And then the time after we put the animals away, the rest of the time is their own until bedtime. They can do whatever they want. Just don't include me.
Right.
Because mom has done her job. She is done.
Right.
8 o'clock is over. So
Thank
yeah.
goodness. Yeah.
So yeah, that's my particular day. Yeah.
That's a good long day.
It is a good long day, but man, I love a good long day. Like,
I think all the days are good long days, and what we kind of get from it is that I don't want the kids to be bored, for too long. And I know people say let them be bored. You do, but I make sure that they have things to do. If they feel bored enough to come and ask me a million questions, if they can do this, if they can do that, there's lots of things they can do. TV is one of those things. If people start asking me a lot for TV, then that's usually a sign
that we're having
that you need some chores.
Yeah.
Right? Or
I need to put you outside.
Yeah, you need to go outside.
Now at 110.
No, not while it's blazing hot.
No, but I will as soon as I can. So I saw your comment about the math thing, having the math first. I struggled with this for many years. I did not do group time first because my kids like math first, and I think the brain works really well with math in the morning. However, I do include math drills. We do math drills, money counting, consumers math basically in our group time. So it's working out better for me so far. Mm-hmm. So the other thing is, like, once the kids start doing their independent work, it was really hard to get everybody back on a schedule to come back together to do our group time. So we would miss it a lot of times, which I have a lot of essential skills that are being taught during that group time that I do not want to do individually. Like, that's, I schooled 5 kids at one time. I had no desire to do a whole bunch of stuff individually. So even with 2, I don't want to. Like, our days are already long enough. I need to compress as much as possible.
Yeah.
So keep doing the math if it works for you. But that's why I switched it over to group time first, because that was just like,
yeah.
So
our group time, we don't necessarily call it that, but I just do read alouds, and so I read aloud to our kids in the beginning of the day. Mm-hmm. And then but I have found that like everybody likes to talk about Eat the Frog, like the book Eat the Frog. So you do the hardest thing, the hardest part of the day. Right.
I never heard the frog. I heard the elephant.
Yeah, it's Eat the Frog. So it's the hardest, the thing that nobody really wants to do. You just do it and get out the way first. And so I know that works for some people, but I think that we're now at a point where everybody can do math at the same time, but that was not always the case. Mm-hmm. Things need to be staggered. So
even now with us doing math, we still do it together because nobody needs me completely.
Right.
So I'm just helping. So we do, but that wasn't always the case.
Yes, right. So like getting to that point, making sure
when you get to that point,
it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
And so the thing for as far as just homeschooling multiple kids, so we'll just kind of jump in since that question kind of took us into like what math looks like. When our kids needed a lot of hands-on attention with their math, I would stagger them. So one person was doing math, then another person was doing something that they could work on independently.
Yeah.
And then the other 2. So if they needed a lot of help with math, there was no way everybody was going to be doing math all at the same time, with and me going to everybody's area, everybody's space to help them. So if people needed my attention, whatever subject that may have been, the other people couldn't be doing the same thing, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So whether it was language arts, math, whatever your kids kind of like need you more of, we're all not doing it at the same time if in that season.
Yeah, it can be hard. Also too, like depending on the age. So like in different ages, like I said, I've homeschooled 5 at one time. Well, my youngest was very young. He just wanted to school. So it actually goes into your question about schooling a 3 to 4 year old. You school them whatever they want. I mean, because like they don't necessarily have to have it. If they want to school them longer. If they don't.
Yeah.
They need playing learning.
Yes.
And so that's what I did a lot of with my young one. When I was schooling all of them, like he had play learning, and then we got this hooked on phonics for toddlers. And it's the funnest books because it's really just pictures and then it has the words, but they think they're reading the words.
Yeah.
And so like he had those and he did those over and over and over. And so stuff like that is really cool. Play-Doh, all that stuff to really ruin your carpet because that's important. You need to have reasons to spend more money on carpet later. Like
Play-Doh.
Oh, we love Play-Doh, but my family, when I was growing up,
messy.
my parents banned Play-Doh because we literally ruined the carpet. Yeah, but you know.
So if I was gonna say like a time frame though, I would say shortly after they wake up, right? Start your pretend play, pretend learning, reading to them. At 3 and 4, I'm not usually a big advocate for like sit down, learn this. They should be moving. They need to move.
On the child too.
Yeah, if they desire it, if you have a child that wants it and they want to try and then let's practice.
Yeah.
Draw. I think drawing is one of the best things you could do for your kid at that age if they want to sit and write because they're not writing a lot. You know what I mean? Their handwriting skills are not going to be great, but drawing helps with just building up just the strength and their dexterity with their hands and any type of crafts and things like that. But I don't know. I'm you know how I am. I'm not a big fan of starting kids really early. My daughter, I started at 4. She was fine, but sometimes there was a bit of a struggle. I think we mostly did pretend play, and we did reading, and I would read to her, and sometimes she would like pretend read to me, and I was perfectly fine making up stories. So having a felt board, maybe you're reading a story. My boys and I still do this. We've got felt boards that we use, and they use the pieces and put them together as I'm reading the story, and they come up with like whatever chapter book I'm reading, and they come up with the story in their on their felt boards, right?
Oh, I'm gonna try that because I still got a felt board, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this.
It's great, and then they get to tell me what it looks like. Okay, I'm like, okay, we finished these chapters from these books. What do you have here? Like, show me what you've got. Why create this? When they sit at this point in the story when they were doing this, and that's why. So they break it down, and it's a really nice thing. And I think that's a fun thing for a toddler to do because it helps with their story building, right?
Felt boards, your friends.
Felt, yes, lots of it.
Lots of it.
Lots of it.
I have bins. Like,
yeah.
You know what? And it really does go to the child. I want to go on record because I've done this. Okay, do what the child wants, but know that it may not make it any better in the end. like my oldest, he was reading 2nd grade level by 2.5. By 4.5 years old. And my second son, he didn't read 2nd grade level until probably about 3rd, 4th grade. But by high school, they were the same. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
And if you look at them in life, like I would say Sean definitely articulates his ideas better than Kel in some ways. Kel uses sounds because he's his mother's child, but that's more of like their style. Yeah, there's not really like education. They are both very brilliant in their own separate ways.
Yes.
And so you would look at the two and you would never know that one read 2 years earlier than the other. It honestly doesn't make a difference. It matters on how hard they're willing to work.
Yeah.
I would focus on being diligent and completing tasks over honing in on read.
Right.
You know, not that reading early doesn't show that it has some benefits. It does, but I'm just saying like it's not. When you see adults, I guarantee you can't spot any adult that you'd be like, I bet you were an early reader.
Right. You were reading before I can tell.
I can see
I
that.
Can tell.
Right.
I can tell, right?
Only adult that I know that can spell well is my mom, Lavonda, and my sister. I know a lot of adults, like, so we all read well though, so
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Right.
So yeah.
So really want to make sure like we hone in on like what to do. So a lot of times we've got kids that are elementary, we've got kids in high school. Now we throw babies in the mix, right? And toddlers.
Lord,
So
babies.
what?
No, babies are fine. Toddlers.
Okay, so let's start with babies because that's an easier one, right?
Yes, babies are easy.
The babies are easier. You pretty much just wear them.
Wear them, school, heavy school when they're napping. They nap a lot.
Yeah.
Babies are easy. Those little people that's crawling around, they
It's
got to
the
save their life
movers.
all the time.
Ooh.
Pray through that.
Ooh.
I don't know what you do. No.
I prayed a lot. There are places we couldn't go.
Oh, guys.
I prayed and
Lavonda came in my house
and prayed and
with
cried.
a full car seat for her toddler buckled in, sat him down.
I'm in life-saving mode. Okay, that's the mode I was in. Thank
Like-
God God is taking him so far from that point.
Yeah.
When we tell him about how he used to be, he's just shocked. Like, no way.
I'm a witness. No.
He wasn't misbehaved. He would just look for opportunities to run,
Yeah.
and he would be gone.
Yeah.
And you'd be looking for him. And so, if I could keep him strapped into a stroller, if we were somewhere in the car.
And I don't mean the little carrier. I
No,
mean the
it was the big
hardcore
bulky-
sit up. She'd bring the whole thing in, set it down. I'm like, you want me to unbuckle? No, he's fine. I'm like, oh, okay.
Because as soon as someone would open the front door at a stranger's house,
And he did it.
He did.
He did it at my house, and it was a
He
dangerous
did,
street. He did.
And I saved it. Nobody was paying attention.
Somebody
as they
said,
opened
what was
the
it,
door.
somebody said, did somebody just open the door? And you,
Yeah.
like you knew.
I didn't see him right, and he was gone.
Yeah.
And that's all it took. So he taught me.
Yeah, toddlers are harder, but I would say if you have multiple kids at school, you have little kids or you have a toddler, try to outsource some things, or if you have children old enough to help, get the help, because toddlers are difficult. When my youngest was a toddler, the boys took turns play learning with him.
Absolutely.
While I schooled with another one. It was the only way to get through it. It really was. The baby stage was easy, but I started homeschooling with a toddler. My first year with homeschooling was with a toddler, and it was very hard. And I did it again as a more seasoned homeschooler, and it was still very challenging. That is not the easiest, and it also depends on your child. Like I have all boys, so
Yeah.
But like Lavonda's, mine didn't want to let up, so I didn't have a child that would sit quietly and play with Play-Doh for 2 hours. Like,
Yeah.
Mine was never that way. I got 20 minutes. What can I get in 20 minutes? Go, go, go.
Right. So, like Diana was saying, just for babies, same thing with toddlers. They need to take naps. You must take a nap. During their nap times, we're getting into deep things. We're going in language arts and math. While they're napping, I would do language arts and math with my other kids. Everything else a toddler would love to get in on.
Yeah.
I also created busy bins. I wish I could grab a pic. I don't have them anymore.
Yeah.
But I would create bins that were like with blue marbles and ocean creatures and they would play in it like water. I would fill it with water, and they would have a fun time.
If you have a safe backyard, send them outside.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
enclosed,
saying?
gated.
Yeah.
I also did a busy bin with like sand and fun things that they could do. I didn't care. We had, now if you have carpet, I can see why you wouldn't want to do this, but go downstairs and school your kids. Put your toddler with their busy bin on the floor in your kitchen. Nobody's kitchen is covered in carpet. So they can make a mess. The water can splash and clean up after you. I couldn't tell you how much sand I vacuumed.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be a mess, but you're getting through it.
But
and makes them busy.
That
That's
gave
fine.
me 30 minutes
Yeah.
to teach a kid,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's worth it. And that's okay. Let that happen. That's fine.
Yeah.
You clean the mess up later. The education needs to happen. That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, like, you might have, like, I don't know, don't make a habit of it, but maybe an educational show sometimes when it's
Oh,
just like,
absolutely.
don't let anyone shame you. Like,
No.
I
First of
don't.
all, don't make a habit. That was a habit. Every day I could. You're so sweet, Diana. Every day I would put an educational little. It was PBS Kids.
Yeah.
That gave me another 30 minutes. Whatever I could do.
That's what
That-
you teach you well.
Yes, absolutely. I love PBS Kids, and so my toddlers would watch that when I was teaching.
Mhm.
I had no shame in doing whatever I needed to do to teach those other kids.
Yeah.
That's right, Janet. She said, "I know that habit, no shame."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
like
gotta
you're
survive
gonna
it.
sit here and watch this. It might be an hour that you watch PBS Kids. Let's not pretend. So like those things, and even reading aloud, because you still want to read to your toddlers.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
if it's a busy child, like my youngest, he wasn't sitting for read alouds on the couch. You know when I would read to him? When he was eating lunch. If he had a snack. In the car, if we were on the way and my husband was driving, I would sit in the back seat and read books. That way he was still getting books. I was reading to them. He was still seeing them. He loved seeing the pictures. I would, if I'm reading aloud, he was playing with Legos. Till this day, this is still how we do it.
Yeah.
He's playing with Legos. The only rule I have is that I train them from a very young age. While mommy's reading, you have to be quiet.
Yeah.
So
we
you
do
can
that too.
play with your Legos. You can build with your blocks. But
That
we're
is
not
creative. I agree.
we're not crashing stuff. We're not pushing things down and making all the noise. We're doing the felt boards. I have a lot of hands-on things. You do puzzles, anything while I'm reading. And then I would just ask questions like, "Hey, what do you remember what happened? What happened to the boy in the store?" And then he would just tell me. So this whole time you're thinking like
They're still learning.
they're learning and they're listening, and you don't have to push it. So busy toddlers doing all the things. But you have to be really creative. Think about the times where they can't help but be still. And that's when you give them their.
I didn't have any that was to that level. I'm like, dang, sis
I
had it hard.
I do all the things. I was doing all the things.
We just had to keep his hands busy, and he would pretty much listen. We did the same kind of things. And he would listen. He liked being around the brothers, and they liked being around him. So that was kind of our thing. A lot of drawing too on the whiteboards, like giving them the markers, all the colors, and draw. And I mean, you want to keep a kid entertained and quiet, let them write on the grown-up marker board, and don't give them a stool. I mean, a stepladder or something. Oh, they're occupied. They're anything that makes them feel adult and they get to do as a kid. It's solid. As you get older, you're now just working on making sure that you have a solid routine and making sure that you have planned ahead because of the staggering that we were talking about.
Yes.
If you don't plan your staggering, you're going to get very frustrated, and they're going to get frustrated.
Right. So anytime you're pulling out things, these things for my toddler only come out when I'm teaching language arts. So I know these things will keep them busy. There should be a stack of things that they do. And some things have to be like you brought out a new thing, like, oh, I created a new busy bin for them, and I introduced it. I know the busy bins with the sand or the water, they come out during language arts time. They look forward to that time. It also helps to give them some sort of a structure. They remember, okay, I get to do this, and they play, right? And when they're done, you're done.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to with your toddlers. You can't control them. You can't. You can say you think you're in control.
Well, it depends on the toddler.
You're putting up boundaries.
Yeah.
The general toddler, for the most part.
You are scarred, honey.
I was scarred.
She's scarred.
My point is, like, you can't. It's harder to control how they're going to respond to things.
Oh, absolutely.
How much time they're going to sit and listen. And thanks, Jen. How much time they're gonna sit and listen, and how much time they're gonna sit and do the thing you've given them.
Yeah.
So you kind of know about how.
Or when a blowout is gonna happen, or a tantrum's gonna happen, or kids get sick, toddlers get sick. more often than older kids do. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of it. But that's also homeschooling. Like,
It is.
I mean, if you're new to homeschooling and you haven't experienced that, just know you got to roll it with the punches. We call that teachers in service day or substitute day, and that's when you pop in a video. And there is no shame in that.
That's right.
We don't have co-op today because co-ops haven't started for us. So we watched American History video today, and that was school, and we loved it. It was great. It was a little more than I thought, but it was good.
Okay, really?
Yeah, I'll tell you about that later. I was like,
no.
oh, we're just gonna fast forward that part. Okay. I was like,
They took words out of that.
yeah, there was still a lot.
Okay.
It was more than Marvel, actually. That was pretty crazy. Yeah. Anyway, we digress. So anyway, so back to with multiple. So whether you have toddlers or not, you do want to plan early. You want to have at least at least a day or two ahead. But ideally, you want to get at least a week ahead. I mean, like, you want about a week ahead to know what the plan is, have everything prepped out. Here's something that used to agitate me so much when I didn't have things printed. Yeah, if I have to stop to print, or when you're schooling multiple kids and you're trying to squish it all into a small amount of time, so you're not schooling for 9 hours. Maybe they're not, but you're not schooling for 9 hours. You want to have everything prepared. Like, that's really annoying when you got to stop and find a book. Oh, finding the book drives me crazy. That's why we school in the schoolroom. It's not so much as that I feel like it needs to look like school. It's because these turkeys take their books and they put them everywhere. And I mean the older turkeys too. My 20-year-old even. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you lose your school book? You're 20 years old. What is going on here?
It's so that everybody knows that this goes here. There's a place
There's
for
a place
this,
for everything.
right?
And if they misplace it, they misplaced it here, not in the whole entire house, that somebody grabbed the book and put it somewhere else. How many times has my husband taken our school books and stuck it somewhere random?
Oh, he's cleaning up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He don't know what the book's for. And, so, yeah, so like planning ahead, knowing your routine, you don't have to be like, it doesn't have to master you, but you definitely want to plan ahead, know what you're going to do, know when you're going to stagger your kids. And I mean, honestly, I think planning and staggering is the key to homeschooling multiple kids.
You have 100% staggering. So,
yeah, I know, right?
Jolanda said that she would use the time in the car at other appointments for kids to teach Spanish numbers 1 through 10.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
Yeah, I like
so
that.
So like somebody's in an appointment, all right, let's practice our foreign language, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Janet said, good luck with a kid with ADHD. No, seriously, I have kids with ADHD.
If you stop to print things out,
and if you stop to print things or whatever, they are gone. They've disappeared on me. I'm like, and the printer's in the classroom.
Worst case scenario, you wake up early and get it done. If you didn't prep at the end of the previous week or the day on Sunday or whatever your prep day is, then you need to wake up early and get some stuff in place. And
or
get your stuff
prep a little
printed.
bit at the end of the day. Lunchtime at the end of the day are really great times to prep.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
I try to prep because it's fresh, and so I'll have a little note, and then like the kids will go off for lunch, and I'll just take care of a couple things for the next day. I'm horrible about prepping on Sunday. I will promise myself I'm not doing it. It's Sunday. I'm doing everything else under the sun.
I wake up really early. I'm kind of at that point because our kids, nobody's voluntarily waking up early anymore. So I wake up at 6, start my day, and then have things that I need to get done. Like if we're doing experiments, I'll set the experiment up downstairs on the kitchen counter, on the island or whatever, so that we're ready. So that way I'm not like fumbling to get through the day or whatever.
Finding
it is.
a supply.
Yeah, everything will be ready. And I've typically already looked through whatever we're going to be working on to see what we'll need for that day. So like I'm big on unit studies. So if we're going through a unit study and I know, okay, we're going to do this experiment, or we're going to be building something, or we're going to, paint something, I'll make sure all those things are ready in the morning so we can kind of go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to do that in the morning too if we need to. I have a schedule about 30 minutes beforehand. for those instant things. So I do a similar thing as well. But, you know, I also am known to fly at the seat of my pants. It just depends. Every day, like when you have small kids or animals or both, every day looks different. It never looks completely the same. And so, yeah, that's like the plan. But like today, I was pasteurizing milk, and it took me longer than I planned it to. So like, had I had to prep for school, oh man, I've been bad.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been bad. I wouldn't
So-
have pasteurized though if I had to prep though. Now
Oh,
think about it.
goodness.
You know, I would have waited. So maybe I would have. Who knows? I don't know.
So a question from Jalunda. I hope I'm saying your name right. How do you continue to confidently homeschool when family is not supportive because of homeschooling myths?
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
No, you have to. You got to prove them wrong, and sometimes it takes to graduation.
Sure.
My husband's family is completely on board with us homeschooling, but it took, like, they were not like negative, you know. So I don't want to make it seem like that, but I could tell like there were questions to make sure that my kids were smart and
Oh,
articulating.
absolutely. Their questions people ask, they're trying to see like where your kids, you know, to make sure, because they love them and care for them too. They're trying, they really just want to make sure you haven't ruined them. And so, oh yay, I said it right. And so I would say the best thing you could do is, because it's difficult when the people that are closest to you are not in, you know, in support of what you're doing. So you need to find support. So a homeschool community is such a big deal. It is integral in your success for homeschooling,
Yes.
and not just like you said, homeschooling confidently. Building a community, finding a community, finding a homeschool
You know,
group.
find one, make one.
Yeah, find some other people that you know that are homeschooling. We're everywhere doing things. If you don't know, just go out at 11 o'clock to a museum and take your kids, and that's probably a homeschool family that you see out if they're out in the streets too.
I was in Las Vegas. I was driving down the street. I saw a mom with her kids, homeschooler. I mean, because obviously, what else would she be doing?
Yeah,
She's on a park day.
yeah.
Go and sit with your kid. Hey, are you a homeschooler? It's time to strike up a conversation.
Yeah, Google. I think homeschoolingA2Z.com. They have, if you're looking for homeschool support groups, they have.
It's a little outdated.
Their site is a little outdated, but the information is a really good place to find other homeschool families or homeschool groups, I should say. And so whether you're looking for a homeschool co-op or just community, I think that's a great way. And obviously hslda.org is a good place to go.
Local churches too. You'd be surprised at how many churches actually cater, even if they don't have a homeschool group that is associated with their members, but maybe they house a homeschool group in their facility. So you'd be surprised how often it happens, because it's much cheaper for homeschoolers to meet at, you know, at a church building than even the Y. I remember when I ran one in Las Vegas, we tried to use the Y for our co-op classes, and it was so stupid expensive. We went right back to the church. We're like, yeah, we're going back to the church. Like it's you'd be surprised. So like you know, you contact one of your local churches. Like, hey, I just want to know if you guys have a homeschool group that may meet there or something like that. You'd be surprised where you might find them. They're there for the most part. The only places that I think is harder is where the education is really high. Like I'm told in New Jersey, homeschooling is a unifying community is a little harder there.
Okay.
Because their schools are really good, and
they're known for some of the best schools in the country.
Yeah.
Their public school are really. She said, "Oh, Janet's saying that my only caution is to not fully trust when you first meet another homeschool family. Some homeschooling families have some serious attitudes and will judge your methods worse than public schoolers." Oh.
Yes, but you get through it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we worry a lot about those people, but they get weeded out. You know what I'm saying? The ones that are supposed to stick, they stick.
Yeah.
And it's just learning time for your kids, you know. I can't tell you how many times we were going into a homeschool event and I was having conversations with my kids about a family. And hey, you will not be like these kids. And they would look at those kids like, how's your mom not getting you? And I'm like,
Don't you try it.
you know,
Right.
so like it works out, you know what I'm saying? And I do, yeah. Sometimes, yeah, some homeschoolers can be scarier than public schoolers, but the exposure to all different types of people is always great.
Oh, she said she's experienced that a bit. It's so many opinions, but I'm trying to focus on that and just do what works best for your family. Absolutely, keep doing that, because you know what? In some homeschool circles and in the communities, there's this idea that we all should be doing it the same way. So why are we homeschooling then?
Then we'll just public school,
Right?
and then we do it all together
And
and
then
call it
do
private school.
exactly. So the homeschooling is why we do it. We homeschool so that we can cater it to our family's needs, and it looks like what our family needs best, right? It's not what another family is doing. We're not trying to replicate what they're doing, but if you have something that's working well for your family, stick with it.
Something I constantly say when you see those kind of things happen, lead them. Because what's happening is a whole bunch of people are following somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I retort when people say that, oh, I'm this method, I'm that method. And I say, I'm pro my kid. I'm whatever method works for my kid.
Yeah.
My child is worth more than any method or ideology I'm figuring works for homeschooling.
Right.
I've changed my homeschooling so much for each one of my kids because I'm willing to do whatever works for my kids, even if I hate that method, or even if it's costing me a whole lot of money, but it works, so I do it. I mean, you're pro your kids, so lead them and remind them that they need to be pro their kid, because they could be doing damage to their child by being stuck.
Yeah.
With like, this is the method that, I loved, because we were in the Christian community a lot, when I heard the biblical way to homeschool.
Where is this?
Well, huh? Stop making stuff up.
What book and chapter did you think? Where you get? Yeah.
Homeschoolific, verse 9, chapter 8. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Janet says that her son had unusual circumstances and that they had to adjust as needed, and that he's a college graduate now, so it's all good. That's right.
That's awesome, Janet.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
There's no matter what your education goes, like whether it's public school, private school, or homeschool, there's going to be unique situations that's going to cause ups and downs.
Yeah.
Family members, like we learned a lot of life lessons with my family members. That was, I can't avoid those people. I mean, I could, but I'm not. I love them.
That's right.
So, we just did life lessons. Like, hey, this is.
Yes. And I'm grateful that that there's such an array of ways to homeschool our kids, because sometimes it does help to hear what other people are doing. Because if you're stuck in a rut, you're trying to figure out, like, this kid did not quite, something's not right. And you hear someone using a technique to try, especially if they're just giving information.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that. Them saying, well, you're not doing this right, it should be like this. But if they're just saying, like, hey, well, this is how we do it, and to just try those things because it helps. It's really, it really is. The Bible calls, as believers, when we're coming together, iron sharpening iron. But I think that even in our homeschool community, it's iron sharpening iron when we're coming together with good intentions, right? So I think we kind of covered all of the. Did you have any more for multiple homeschooling, multiple
I think it
toddlers,
just goes
babies?
Back down to just plan, let go when you need to, and stagger and prep.
Yes.
That prep work, I have to say that was the only way I got through it, guys. Prep work.
Yeah.
And then having the elders help.
It helps if you also have a pack and play.
Ooh.
Because pack and play, a bunch of toys. They just be in there playing while you do other things.
My child climbed out of it and would hurt himself. Let go. So I couldn't do it. He'd do it with his crib. Yeah, that turkey.
Did you see it when they put the pack and play upside down? Like, I'm not going to say a cage, but like a cage. I'm not saying that
this would be my child. He's building a lever with those big mega block Legos, and he's going to cause leverage so he can get his little hand underneath. And that way would have found a way, but
but like flipping
that might have worked.
So anyway, the next thing we kind of wanted to talk about was deschooling.
I'll let you take that one.
Okay. Okay, so first, just want to talk about what deschooling is. So a lot of times when people pull their kids out of a brick and mortar school to homeschool them, hey Steve, they'll take an allotted time where they take off and they don't school like they would normally school, or some people don't school at all. They're kind of taking that time to get to know their kids, to build. It's really about building a relationship again, and a lot of times it's character building. And so I've seen it done multiple ways. I think that there's always a better way to do it, but essentially that's what deschooling is: trying to break the habit or the mold of what the brick and mortar school was doing, because it's not going to look like that. And so you're trying to train the parent, really, and the child to expect something different. And so the next thing is, why do people choose to deschool? For lots of reasons. I think most people decide they want to go through this deschooling season or session or whatever, because I think what they're trying to do is to build their relationship with their kids, and not focus on like the schooling part as much, and focus on coming together again, like learning to be a family again. I think is really what it boils down to.
Or for the first time.
What's that?
Meaning learning for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of what sums up what the deschooling is, what it kind of looks like, why people choose to do it. So the next part is like what our opinions of deschooling are. And so I know that me and Diana have a difference of opinion here. Which is why she wanted me to go first. I'm gonna say, what do I think about deschooling? So we put my oldest in school for 1 year. It was 5th grade. Also, my middle child went in for like a half a year, and we pulled him back out. It was not going to happen. It was during that season where I needed to save a life of the toddler, right? I was trying to keep him alive.
Yeah.
And so
we prayed her through that, y'all. That was a rough one.
And so it helped because while they were gone that half a year, oh, you're good. I was able to just love on him and have him, and I. We just had a ball. We had an absolute ball, and I loved it those 3 months. And then my other son came back. My point is, there was a season where one of my kids or two kind of went to school and then I brought them back. But that would be an instance where I would kind of deschool. And so for us, deschooling was more like this first month or two back to school, we're gonna go on field trips, we're gonna go on, we're doing park days, we're focusing on having fun together, we're gonna do experiments, we're gonna do it every fun way of learning. That was our focus. And it was really just to remind my daughter, because she was the only one that would have, my kindergarten, he was there for 3 months. Nothing happened for him. Nothing stuck. He didn't know what things are supposed to be like. But now she had kind of been indoctrined into what her school day would look like. And I wanted to bring her, when I brought her back, I wanted her to see that this is going to be a good time. We're going to build our relationship. We're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy learning again. And not that she didn't enjoy learning, but it's going to look different and it's going to be fun. So I think there's a part of deschooling for me that's more about the relationship and making sure character traits are being built up again, as opposed to necessarily my goal in deschooling, or I don't think most people's goal is to like teach a certain way or to like build um, certain educational theories up or anything like that. It's really just relational. So I don't know.
All right,
So
that's fine.
I think it can be useful 100%. Now, would I be deschooling for an entire year? No, that's too much. But the first month or so, I think that's a really good time to just kind of get to know each other again. Like to do the, when we're dancing, you doing the waltz or whatever, we're just finding our rhythms. So
I'm with Janet. I don't understand. Particularly because I think that humans are way more adaptable than, and especially children, they are so adaptable than we give them credit. We don't before we send our kids off to college, we don't deschool them or anything like that to get them off.
Yeah.
So, and I think in the homeschooling, like I put my kids out of public school as well, and I didn't know anything about deschooling, and we did fine. And I was like, I mean, there's a natural element I think that happens when you pull your kids out of public school, that there is this finding your place that naturally happens. And we kind of did a progressive thing where we went from public school to public school at home to schooling, but there were summer breaks, and those summer breaks kind of broke that up and gave us that deschooling type of thing. Like I don't do a lot of structure at all in the summer. Like it's like, wake up at this time, go to bed at this time, make sure your chores are done, read a book. Like that's our thing. We have a good time, or we do nothing, or we're potatoes, whatever. Like it's fine. And I did have the homeschool year where I was so about the party and the fun. I can understand it to some level because we had never been a family on a regular basis at home. There was always a kid at school, since, not always, but very early on, you know what I'm saying? But learning to be together like that all the time, but we were really close, so it didn't really affect us that way. I think it depends on the family.
It does.
So our family dynamic, I could never find a purpose for that. When I heard it, I was like, is this an excuse to not school? Is this an excuse to not do nothing? Is this why would you do that? I just don't understand. Because you can do all the field trips and that's still homeschooling. I mean,
it is.
Still do all the.
I don't necessarily know. I don't know how other people were using it. I didn't even know that's what it was called at the time. I just knew we just need to learn it in a different way, right? We need to go back to preschool learning style. Just have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. But what about for the families that don't pull their kids out at the end of the school year? What if they pull them out in January?
But I did do that too. I did that with Sean.
And I'm not saying that it wouldn't work. I'm just saying, do you see?
No, I mean, no matter I've been homeschooling for 16 years, and my brain still reverts back to public schooling.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I grew up in. I'm hardwired that way.
Yeah.
It's what I see on TV. It's what is the norm in our country. And so I think to a level, you don't ever completely leave that. If I go to default, my default is structure, 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 structure. You know what I'm saying? But I don't need that in my home because that structure is designed to keep a room full of kids under control, not necessarily to give them the maximum amount of education in the maximum amount of time. I'm sure that that's the secondary purpose, but the classroom setup is to be able to keep control while giving the instruction. Well, I don't have that situation, so I don't need that. So I have to remind myself those things. So I think to a level in that sense, you have to, but I honestly think that's for the parent. I think those kids are going to adapt. I think as the parent, these ideals that I had in my head for homeschooling, and I had it all set up. My dad built tables and desks for us. We had dividers, and this magical day was going to happen, and it was a mess, and I hated it. I hated it every dang day. I feed the kids lunch. I go in my closet and I cry every day at the same time. It was horrible. And so, like, that was my first year experience. And I don't know that it would have changed by me deschooling necessarily, because I had this idea in my head that this was what homeschooling was. Being part of a community is what changed my mind. Because we were just like, oh, well, just sign up for this and then you can homeschool your kid. And that was all I got. When I got part of a community, the community like said, hey, here's homeschooling and there's so many options. And you can do this and you can do that and you can do that. And that is what broke that mold in my head. Not that I didn't have it. Then it went over to, every day we're going to sit next to a tree in Las Vegas and we're going to homeschool. It's 2 day hot. But like, I think for like, it just depends on the person, like the family dynamic, on whether that's going to work for you. For me, in my brain, that was going to make me lazy. I can't do that, guys. Like I can't be that person.
Does deschooling sound familiar to you? Does it sound like another type of homeschooling?
It seemed like it can ride with unschooling, but I don't know. It sounds like, when I first heard, like when you said it, I was like, well, if you do it that way, that sounds like that's responsible.
How were you how were you seeing people do it when you started seeing people mention it or say that they were doing, like, what were they doing?
Nothing.
Oh, nothing.
They were doing nothing. Oh, we're in our deschooling phase. Oh, what do you do? Oh, we just don't do nothing. We let them, do. Oh, okay. Like, it wasn't going to go on field trips and having fun learning. Like, you, the parent, have set up learning stations for them to make learning exciting, to remind them that we love learning, that we were designed to learn.
Yeah.
That's not what I saw.
Okay, that's not what I know.
So that's why I think
we're talking about different things. I see now.
Yeah.
That makes sense. They're like, we're deschooling, not teaching the kids at all. We're not learning. We're not pursuing higher knowledge. We are not pursuing knowledge at all. Okay, so if that's what people mean by deschooling,
because it was about breaking the mold.
But breaking the mold doesn't mean you do nothing. Breaking the mold means I give you something new, a new way to think of it, right? Because, okay.
But see, you started with your mind, and then you went with because I always believe it's the parent. We're gonna lead them, right? We're gonna change their mind. If we go into it like, oh, this is how it's gonna look, like just like it did at school, then they're gonna have that same expectation.
Right.
But if we're setting the expectation that it's gonna look differently, and for us, like the whole summer that my other kids, not my oldest that got pulled out in the middle, we were preparing for homeschooling. We're talking about it. We're preparing for it. Look what Poppy built, you guys. And what color do you want it? Orange. All right, let's paint this bad boy orange. Like, we were getting ourselves prepared and excited about the first day of school. And so for us, that was that whole time. I think it just depends, and I guess you could call that deschooling, but I don't feel like I deschooled until after 5 years in.
Janet, you're right. She said that I think parents might be interpreting deschooling in different ways, and some are just taking a break from school. That's exactly what I heard Diana just say, with like how she saw people deschooling, and what you're saying. If I don't agree with that. That's not something I can get on board with. Like, just stopping, not learning at all.
Like for a season, or what if they said like summer break? If there's a 3 months, 4 months, they're not going to school.
If it's summer break for them?
Well, it's not summer, but what if they do it in the
fall?
fall?
Oh, that's what they're doing. You're saying that they're taking a break. If it's for a short season, I understand that. You don't deschool for a whole year.
Right.
That's not.
I'm gonna tell y'all why I also have a hard time with it. with what you said, with the not schooling for a whole year. The other part is that, yeah, a year would be too much. And with all of our good intentions of always homeschooling our children, you have no control over whether you live or die. And the worst thing you could do to your child is to have ideals that it's not if they are not capable. But don't hold your child back because you choose to hold them back. If something ever happens, God forbid, to you, Your child should not have to go into another school setting and feel like, or to someone else and feel like they were failed.
Yeah.
And I've had hard discussions with other homeschool kids, and this is a reoccurring conversation, unfortunately. And I think that's why I get so up in arms about some of this stuff. Like, talk to your child about their goal and how do they feel about being a year below their peers. While you may feel like this is fine, how does your child feel about that? Is your child okay with not knowing the long division that the other kids are doing, and when they're sitting, everybody's sitting around playing around and joking, and they can read this or do that, and your child can't? Do they feel comfortable with this? I'm not saying that this should be the goal for schooling, but what I'm saying is, like, there are situations that we can't always control, and while my goal may be to always homeschool, sometimes, guys, sometimes mamas get sick, sometimes mamas have to go back to work, sometimes parents die, and we have to think about those hard things too and prepare our kids for those things. So that's kind of my thing. You know what I mean? Like, take that grain of salt, but that's my thing as well.
Yeah.
A year is too long. You're doing your child a disservice, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, please don't deschool for an entire year. I don't know what would you even be doing. Like,
I can tell you, the year that I played around for a year, we were at every homeschool event 4 or 5 days a week. We were at something. Now, they were a lot of times educational.
Right.
I mean, there was co-ops
Lots
in
of
there, and field trips,
yeah.
and fun learning, and nature study. We were learning, but there was no arithmetic in there. Oh my gosh, I had to repent. I had to tell my kids I'm sorry. I had to apologize. Like, guys, I did you a disservice. I'm so sorry. And then we were planning to pick it up in the summer. But then my mom had strokes 2 summers in a row. That's when I learned you got no control.
Yeah,
Like, you don't know. So take advantage of the time you have.
That's right.
And do the dang thing, because you don't know.
She said I call that education adjacent. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's a real thing.
It is. I am so I'm so not on board with any extended form of deschooling, or deschooling where I do nothing, where you do nothing.
Not in the summer?
In the summer?
Yeah. Can I do nothing in the summer? Is that okay?
No, that's not okay.
I want to do nothing in the summer. I get 2 weeks.
Are
Nothing.
creating scholars. It's 12 months a year, 7 days a week, no break.
You know there's a curriculum like that, right?
No, are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm joking, guys, just in case you don't
Be
know.
careful.
No. Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I'll tell you about it later.
Ooh. No, thank you.
It's gentle schooling, though.
We all need breaks, and so I look forward to whatever breaks we take. And so after some really good learning, and I tried to put myself in it as much as possible. I actually had, I'm gonna say it. Should I say this? Yes, I'm gonna say it. So because I was working quite a bit last year, and earlier this year as well. So during that time, I had to outsource a lot for my younger ones that I wouldn't normally do. Typically, I would do majority of it, and then
She's pretty hardcore.
math, teaching textbooks, and if we were part of a co-op, they would do those things with them, certain things. But we haven't been these last couple years for my boys, and so one of my boys told me that while he was learning, he was like, "You didn't homeschool us. You just told us what to do, and we would do it, and then you would check it." And I was just like, "I did." But I also did teach you.
That's school.
He's like, but it doesn't look like it looks now. Because right now, I'm in it. I'm in it all day long, doing the thing. We're in it together. They love that. I love that. That's how I enjoy teaching them. And get messy and doing the things and reading together and cuddling up on the couch and doing all the things. There were points in our this past season of life that we just came through in that last year and a half where I couldn't do those things.
You will never, ever, ever regret that time with your child.
Yeah,
You will never regret it. You will regret not having the time.
absolutely.
I have walked many, many lives in my time, and I have done it all. I have worked outside of the house. I've homeschooled, working. I have worked with kids in public school, and I'm going to 100% tell you that I've never regretted it with any of my kids. Oh, I stayed with you too much. I was home with you too much. I spent too much time. Never. Mm-hmm. You will never regret this ever, ever, ever.
No.
You will regret when you don't spend the time with them. You will wonder and you will question it. That's the truth. So yeah. Okay, we've been on for a while.
We have. Oh my goodness, it's 5:15. So I think that's pretty much.
What did you say?
We were Socratic. I think that's the right word. A lot of discussions about the subjects. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like Socrates. Yes, absolutely. I think everyone, like, you have to kind of you have to homeschool in the season that you're in the best way that you can.
Yeah.
Not every season. If I'm, if you're sick and you're still trying to push through homeschooling, maybe you outschool, you
That's
outsource,
okay.
And that is just fine.
No shame in that.
Your kids will try and guilt you. Clearly, he brought it up later in life.
Or they'll tell you how bored they are.
Bored, right? But
And just tell them I'll put you on the school bus.
and
At 6 a.m. And then you can talk to me.
right.
And not in your pajamas. And not in your Pokemon suit. Not happening.
And my boys, no, they'll get dressed and still put their robes on. They just walk around in their robes all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But no, I think he just missed what we had, and he realized that we were back doing that again. We got to school the way everybody enjoys, and so.
But it also makes them appreciate it. The fact that it was
does.
gone makes them appreciate what
Right.
they got. You know what I'm
But
saying?
they got to see this is how we're gonna get through this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was survival homeschooling straight up.
Yeah, and kids learn from that. They learn that you push through, you persevere, and that sometimes things look different. We can't have things look the same way all the time. So don't ever let anybody guilt you into having to do something different. Like, you guys do what you have to do. We did what we have to do. And I had one, before I was even working, I had one that needed a lot of my attention. So I did video schooling predominantly for my last one, my youngest, because he could handle it, and I knew he could. And he would be bored to tears sometimes, but it was a good education. I knew he was getting a thorough education. I made it as fun for him as I possibly could, but that one needed my attention, and I had no other resources to help him. So it wasn't like, oh, mama can go get him a tutor, la la la. It was very specific, so I had to cater to him. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That boy's fine. They're fine. They're fine.
Yeah.
So anyway,
thank you all for joining us. We know this was a longer live with us. I was gonna say episode. It's not a longer live. Thank you for joining us. Oh, good.
Jenny, you're very helpful too.
Yeah, oh my goodness, Janet. Okay.
Wealth of knowledge. Here.
Absolutely. I totally love that you join us every week. Remember, if you're not subscribed to our channel and you're watching this, subscribe to our channel. Diana just put out a video of interviewing her two oldest boys.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Thank you.
It's so good. And seeing,
I had so much fun with that one, guys. If you haven't watched it, please check it out. It's on our channel.
yes, seeing the fruits of your labor and other homeschoolers getting to see that is so encouraging. I've got a few family members that I want to interview as well, because I realize, like, people really want to see how people end up after they've been homeschooled, graduated from homeschooling. That, there's something about graduating from homeschooling going on. I have a cousin who will be here in October.
That's really good.
She is
Awesome.
She is. She graduated from homeschooling, and went on to Wheaton College in Chicago, Illinois, on a full ride scholarship. She's back. She's in school again, getting her PhD. She is amazing, amazing, amazing. She taught for some years. She was a part of like creating the curriculum for charter schools, and now I think she's doing her thesis. No, not think, she is. She interviewed me last year, I think, or the year before. She's doing her thesis for a PhD on homeschooling in minority settings or minority homes. And so like
So cool.
she is as brilliant as they come, and I brag about her all the time. I think she's amazing, amazing, amazing.
Homeschoolers get scholarships too.
Yes, absolutely. And so not only do I'm going to interview her while she's here in October visiting us, but I'm also going to interview her mom, my auntie, so that people get to see like what, I'm not saying, this is the poster child and this is how you do it if you want success, but it's nice to hear like how people got to where they are. And I'd love to hear Janet. I think, Janet, you're on our list. We're going to have to interview. I know we said this before, but really want to like get you on live and talk to you about what homeschooling looked like for you, what it looked like getting your son into adulthood. People want to see like they can do, the homeschoolers go off to college.
We want to see that we're not screwing up our kids.
Thank you.
That's
I
what
was
we
trying to
wanna
be
see.
gentle
We
with
want
the
to make
words.
sure we're not screwing up our kids. That's important. So, yeah. Anyways, it was good seeing you all. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys at the next video. And check out our previous videos if you haven't already. And thanks again for all of you guys that were commenting and keeping this popping.
That's
Love you
right.
all.
See you guys later.
Bye.